Hey guys, how's it going? So I really quickly made a tabletop simulator mod so you can play the Elestrals prototype deck in tabletop sim. This is going to be a quick video kind of how to get it loaded and how to kind of play the game through tabletop sim as best as I can show you how. I learned tabletop sim literally last night in 3 hours, so it's a little rough. I think I figured it out though. I played one game on it, it worked. I'll touch up this as much as I can as we go, but yeah, so first you're going to need to go to you have to have tabletop simulator on Steam. Then you're going to have to go to the page behind me, which I'll leave a link in the description below, and subscribe to this link. So this little subscription will give you, every time I make an update to the mod, it'll show up and you can just basically, every time you just log into the game, no issues, it'll just be updated for you. Um, so yeah, you hit the subscribe button, which is logged into Steam. You'll see a comment down there when this board cards were whited out. I'll show you how to fix that as well quick based on what the other guy had to do. Um, so yeah, let me just jump into it. So yeah, first off, log into Steam, go to Workshop, find this, or use the link that I'll put down below to get the mod working. Then, once you get into Tabletop Sim, you'll have to go to Create Game, and obviously you want to play a multiplayer, so you're going to make a multiplayer lobby. So I'm going to make a server name where we'll make the password 1234 for now, leave it open for everybody, create a server. So now we have an empty board. Now, in your workshop section, you should have the Elestrals prototype deck saved here. So all you have to do to open it is you click on it, click load. It's going to be blank for a bit. It might take a couple minutes to load. It should give you a little progress bar. The first thing that should load are the decks and the little side table, and then the actual board that you'll see in the center with all, the card slots, etc. should be there. The players are set up as player one is in white, player two is in green. So if you're the server host, make sure that the person coming in second selects green as their color, or you should be able to on the top right here, if there's a name there, force them as the game host to be the light green player. Then to actually play the game, so I have currently, let me rotate this quick. So I currently have all 5 of the prototypes decks loaded in. So this is the Thunder deck, the Water deck's down here, Fire deck's up here, Wind deck's down here, Earth deck's right here. So if you want to play it, you're just going to have to basically, whoops, to grab the deck, you have to click and drag. And then to rotate it, you can either drop it, right click, and use this to rotate it. Or if you left click, hold, so you have the whole deck, you can rotate it with the middle mouse button scroll wheel while holding it. So let's say someone wants to play, you know, Thunder. I'm also navigating the board with WASD, and then you can tilt the camera like that with the arrow keys, or you can just right click and hold to move it around. So now I have a deck. I have a position play. Well, technically I'm in player 2 slot. It doesn't really matter. But let's say we both want to play the same deck. So right here I have the spirit deck and I have the actual deck. Make sure you grab both from the side table. But if we both want to play the same deck, we can just copy and paste, or you can hit clone and drop one clone here, but now you're still in clone mode, so if you left click again, you'll just keep dropping decks. You can right click to exit the clone mode. And again, I'm going to hold left click, rotate the deck, and that's actually the main deck, so I'm going to move it over and put my spirit deck over here. So now both decks are the Imperial deck. So now we have a game board set up. We can right click and shuffle, or you can highlight over the deck, press R to shuffle. You can shake the deck to shuffle. You see the card animation going. So now the deck's nice and shuffled. Don't need to shuffle your spirit deck, obviously. So how do we go from here? So if you want to draw cards, you can either click and drag a single card into your hand, but it won't flip automatically if you do that. Notice you have a hand pop up on the bottom, and your hand will also show here. Your opponent will not be able to see your hand. So if I say pop a card over here for my opponent and flip it face up for them, this is what it shows on your opponent's side. So my hand will look black on their side. So you can see how many cards they have in their hand here. If you want to get rid of this little pop-up, you can just press H for hand. I prefer just playing it like this with the cards on the table. If you want to have them right here too, so that way if you're like, navigating around the board, your hand will still be here. You can do that too. So, let's draw 5 cards, pretend like we're starting a turn. So now we have our hand. We'll give our opponent a hand. Press F to flip a card, or you can again right click to get all the options and flip it here if you want. So now we have our cards in our hand. Let's say we want to play a card. So we can go right click on a deck and we can hit the search button. And we now have all of our cards here, right? So I want to play this Clovey. So I'm going to drag the card from the search over onto the board, press F to flip it while highlighting over it. There's my spirit. Put my Clovey, so now I'm playing my Clovey. Simple enough. Clovey is enchanted. Oh, look, I draw another card. Now, one thing you have to worry a little bit about is if you drag a card exactly over card, see how you have a little 2 there? It's now stacked. So you can either break a stack with the split button, which doesn't always work, but in this case it did. The other option is if you just kind of quickly click and drag fast. So if you click and hold, you'll grab both cards. If you click and drag real quick, it'll come off. So it's a little sticky, but it's manageable. It's not too big a deal. And once you just get the hang of clicking and dragging off quick, it's not too big a deal. Right? So, now my creature's celestial. Now if I want to say, okay, now pass turn, my opponent will go, you know, he'll draw his card. Whoops. Yeah, sorry. If okay, it's a little janky because you can draw from your opponent's deck. That's just kind of how Tabletop Simulator works. But now, like my opponent will draw for his turn, right? He has all the cards in his hand. Obviously, I can't see his hand because I'm not that player. But let's see if we can find something they can play. Okay, look. Say they have Necroft. They would search through their pile, right? Enchant their Necroft. They would swing, down goes my Clovey. Put all this in a pile. But now we have this, expended pile. I'm going to have to go expend another thing because the Necroft destroyed this. Game mechanics, all that. Let's just get rid of a fire real quick. I think I just messed something up. Hold on. I just realized that my Imperial and my Trifernal decks are in the wrong position because these are both Trifernal decks. I'll fix that before this video rolls out so they're in the right spot. Um, but yeah, so I had to expand the other thing. And now if I want to search my Underworld comes up as a deck here. So I can break up my Underworld if I need to. Now another thing you can do is, let's say you guys finish your game, you can hit over here the reset button. Where is it? I'm blind. Reset. It should grab all the cards not currently in a deck that originally belonged to this deck. So now we have our Underworld stuff here. So this is still kind of stuck here, and it may or may not work. Yeah, so we just kind of have to flip it without both being selected. Flip it and plop it back in the deck. So that deck's reconstructed. We can shuffle it up, yada, yada, yada. Then over here we can do this, reset this. Again, these cards, whoops. Sometimes when they go into a new deck pile, they become new entities, so you can kind of just do this. Or you can just restart the whole lobby and do it that way, and obviously it'll fix that. If we reset there, there's all those cards back together, back to 40. Reset over here, there's that card back to square one. So yeah, you just play out the game as you can like that. You can shuffle, you can draw. If you hit deal, it'll send it to whatever player you try to deal to. So I can deal technically a card to green, but then I can't see it even though it's supposed to be mine. And then it also will auto rotate to green side. Another thing to note is I can do all these table manipulations, zoom in to read a card, etc., with a scroll wheel, all that jazz. And my opponent won't see me going wild with the camera. So you can go as wild as you want with the camera to kind of read it. Zoom in. Maybe you want to play up close like this. Um, have all your cards there. Again, you can press H to hide or etc. your deck. So if you have your hand like this in the small thing, you can grab cards from your hand like this, put it back like this, etc. If you want to put a card from the board into your hand, you can either drag it here or drag it down to your hand if you have your hand showing here. That's pretty much the basics of it. That's all I got figured out at the moment. I hope you guys use this and enjoy. I worked, I wouldn't say hard on it, but it took me a lot of tutorials to figure out how to do it. Eventually, I'll make a video quick on how to put your own decks in the game and how to make your own decks. It's not that complicated. It's actually pretty simple once you find the correct tool for it in your files on your computer that come with Tabletop Simulator. But yeah, for now, hopefully you guys can use this to start playing some games. As I learn more about Tabletop Simulator, I'll try and update it a bit more. But yeah, that's what I have for now. So enjoy.